everyone, Miss Sam here from Downtown Creative Studios. Welcome to all you budding guitarists out there. You have stumbled upon the very first lesson in our 10-week beginner guitar course. So, I hope that you're prepared to go from barely knowing what a guitar even is, to knowing a few chords and strumming them kind of okay, to improvising your very first solo. Now don't worry, I'll be here with you every step of the way to help you out. Okay, so let's get to know the parts of your guitar. Here we've got the largest part of your guitar, which is called its body. In the middle of the body, you'll see a hole. That's called the sound hole. Sound resonates within the body of your guitar and is released through the sound hole. Moving down to the other end, you've got the headstock, which is also known as the head if you like to keep things simple, like me. Now, what connects a head to a body? Your neck. Your guitar is no different. Its neck stretches the length from its head to its body. Along the front of the neck, we've got what's called the fretboard. The fretboard is where the magic happens. So, along here we've got metal bars. These metal bars separate these little areas of wood, which are called the frets. That's where you put your finger. Make sure when you play guitar, you put your fingers in the spaces between the metal bars, not on the metal bars. On top of that, we've got 6 strings stretching all the way from one end of your guitar to the other. Down this end, they attach to what's called the bridge. The bridge of your guitar sits on top of this little wooden part called the saddle. Now, a lot of people don't worry about calling it the saddle, they just call this whole area the bridge, so we can do the same. Now remember that this is all stuck down with glue, so if you leave your guitar in the car, the glue is gonna melt and your bridge could fall off. Down the other end, our strings pass over this little guy called the nut and head all the way down to these little mechanisms called the tuning pegs. So what happens is, when you loosen your tuning peg, it releases the tension in the string and the sound goes down. When you tighten your tuning peg, it increases the tension and the sound comes back up. That is how we tune our guitar. Now before we get started, make sure you've got a comfortable chair or a comfortable stool, preferably without an armrest because you don't want to be bashing into anything. Make sure both of your feet are on the ground and this little dint in your guitar is sitting on your right leg. Make sure you're sitting up straight and you're ready to go.
Before you start playing, it's important to know how to tune your guitar. Working our way from top to bottom, our strings are named E, A, D, G, B, and E. To remember them, you can say, everyone at Downtown gets better every day. Tighten the tuning peg to increase the tension and make the sound go up. Loosen the tuning peg to decrease the tension and make the sound go down. On the face of your tuner, if your arrow is too far to the right, it's too high or sharp. If your arrow is too far to the left, the sound is flat. You want your arrow right in the middle, and that way you know that your guitar is in tune.
Now that you're in tune and your guitar is sounding beautiful, you're ready to learn your first chord. What is a chord? I hear you ask. Don't panic, I will tell you. A chord is a group of notes played together by forming a pattern with your left hand, taking your pick and running it along the strings just over the sound hole with your right hand. Most often chords are used to accompany singers. The first chord we're going to learn together today is E minor.
When playing chords, it's important to know how to read chord diagrams. Chord diagrams take a snapshot of a small section of your guitar to give you a closer look. You can see our strings E, A, D, G, B, and E, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we've got frets 1, 2, and 3. Before going further, we need to know the finger numbers on our left hand. Our pointer is finger number 1, our middle is number 2, our ring is number 3, and our pinky is number 4. The first chord we're going to look at is E minor. To play E minor, we're going to take our second finger and put it in our second fret on our 5th or A string. Then we'll put our third finger in our second fret on our fourth or D string.
Okay, so let's get our E minor chord sitting in the right position. We're going to take our pick and put it between our thumb and our pointer finger. We want it to be nice and loose so it runs over the strings nice and easy. Don't hold it so loosely that you drop it because you don't want to be fishing it out of your guitar all the time. Now, once we've got everything in the right spot, we're going to run our pick along our strings from the 6th string all the way to our 1st string, just like this. Make sure it sounds really nice, and now, don't move anything. Have a good look at your fingers, see if you can remember where they are, and now, tuck your left hand behind your back. We're going to count to 3, and then we're going to put it back in the exact same spot. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Now strum it to make sure it sounds beautiful. Did you keep up?
To play D, we're going to put our first finger in our second fret on our 3rd or G string. We're going to put our second finger in our second fret on our 1st or E string, and our third finger is going to go next door in our 3rd fret on our 2nd or B string.
Alright, so let's get our fingers in the correct position for D. I like to think of this one as an upside down triangle. It helps me remember it. We've got our pick. Now, the trick with D is you don't want to hit your lowest E string. It's not within the chord and it can kind of sound muddy and a little bit iffy, so we don't want to hit that one. It's best to aim for your bottom 4 strings, but if you hit the 5th string, that's okay too. So, let's play D. Ready? Alright, don't move. Put your fingers behind your back. Get ready to count to 3 and put them in the same spot again. 1, 2, 3. Strum it to make sure it sounds beautiful. And you've got your D major chord.
To play A, we're going to put our first finger in our 2nd fret on our 4th or D string, our second finger in our 2nd fret on our 3rd or G string, and our third finger in our 2nd fret on our 2nd or B string. Your fingers should form a line in your 2nd fret.
Okay, last we've got A major. So let's put our 3 fingers where they're supposed to go. I like to think of this one as 3 fingers in a line. We've got our pick. We're gonna strum it to make sure it sounds beautiful. Okay, remember, hand behind your back, count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and back in the same spot. Strum it to make sure it sounds beautiful, as always. And you've learned your first 3 chords. Okay, so now for the most challenging part of today, changing between those 3 chords. We're going to take what we've learned and we're going to put them all together. We're going to change from E minor, all the way to D, all the way to A. I'm going to count you in. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, E minor, 2, 3. Now change to D, 2, 3, and back to A. Now don't panic if you can't keep up just yet, because everybody learns at their own pace and it takes a while for our fingers to get used to moving in such new and unusual ways. You can use the practice track provided to get your chords moving. I want you to practice changing between E minor, D, and A this week. Thank you so much for tuning in to lesson 1 of our 10-week beginner guitar course. I'm Miss Sam, guitar teacher at Downtown Creative Studios. We'd love to hear how you're going with everything, so make sure you post your progress on Instagram and tag us at Downtown Creative Studios. Now remember, it's totally normal if your fingers are getting sore, so don't panic. See you next lesson.